It is useless to bother with him. He's dead. These were the first words his ears heard when he left his mother's womb, though he certainly did not understand them. He was a premature baby of 6.5 months, weighing just under 3 pounds. He was such a wretched specimen that the midwife seized him by the right ear, leaving a mark he still bears, and discarded him in a basket. She could do nothing more for him, and he would undoubtedly be dead if his father's mother had not been present. Aletheia Tomatis.
I've always loved children. My mother started nursery school 45 years ago, and I really was fascinated with her experience, watching her, aiding her, helping her during the free time I had while going to school. I went to graduate school at the University of Houston and obtained a master's degree in psychology, specializing in child development and learning disabilities. I came back to Bogota and took over my mother's nursery school. I named it Proyecto Winnie, and that has been my love, my passion, and my pride for the last 30 years. The school has always been a great educational experience for my students, but during the last decade, the teachers have begun noticing and complaining to me of lack of attention span, irritability in the children. They were unable to sit, to keep still, to attend to the teachers. Children in Bogota and the rest of the world are spending too much time sitting down, watching TV, playing video games, so their physical development is not as good as we teachers would like. It is as they don't have enough body to develop higher cognitive abilities. A child cannot attend if their body is not well developed. We had two worries: the children's lack of physical development and their poor attention span. So we decided to look for more methods, to get more tools to aid us in our task and our responsibility of working with children in their most important neurological stage. That's why we encountered Brain Gym, neuro-linguistic programming, who aided us, but we kept on looking, and finally, by pure luck, I encountered the Tomatis method. I was visiting my sister in Washington, D.C., and she was talking to some of parents of children her son's age, and one of these mothers mentioned the best therapeutic method my son has had has been the Tomatis program. I really didn't understand what she was talking about when she said it was a therapy done with music that really caught my interest. I had been studying and researching for the last 30 years, and for me it was really amazing that this important and curious therapy had really escaped my knowledge. I immediately took a car and went to the Spectrum Center, and that impressed me enormously. I ran back to my sister and insisted that her son with an attention deficit should begin the Tomatis method. She came back to Colombia with her son for a visit 3 months later, and it was incredible, the change of this boy. He was walking different, talking different, he looked different. He was more coordinated, he was singing English, he was speaking in a different tone of voice. His attention span, his visual contact was great. I was so impressed I called Paris and enrolled in their training to be a Tomatis consultant.
The Tomatis method takes its name from its founder, Dr. Alfred Tomatis, born in Nice on the 1st of January 1920. From a painful conception, he grew up to become a renowned doctor, scientist, and specialist in hearing and language difficulties. Being that he was the son of the famous Parisian opera singer, Humbert Tomatis, at an early age he became familiar with the world of music and opera. His passion for music, tied up to his medical studies on the ear, the throat, and the voice, led him to brilliant insights into the nature of listening, singing, and communicating. This enabled him to establish a relationship between hearing and phonation, between the ear and the voice. His method was founded on a number of hypotheses concerning the way in which human beings develop, process information, communicate, and finally learn. For this, he developed a sophisticated device called the electronic ear, capable of modifying the way in which humans listened and consequently his way of speaking and listening posture. By re-educating the ear, he was able to make explicative hypotheses of his clinical observations. The result was the Tomatis effect. This result was summarized in 3 laws. The voice contains only what the ear hears. If the hearing is modified, the voice is immediately and unconsciously modified. It is possible to durably transform phonation when auditive stimulation is maintained over a certain time, law of duration. The objective of the Tomatis method is to develop listening skills and thereby communication, making full use of the auditory skills. The ear, believe it or not, provides human beings with 95% of its sensory information. The anatomy and physiology of the ear is very complex. Yet, for the purpose of understanding the Tomatis method and its enormous effect on the human body, we will take a quick look at how the ear functions. To hear is to identify a sound passively, as when we hear someone talking to us yet we pay no attention to what's being said. We hear even if we don't want to hear. Now, listening requires a motivation, a desire to listen. The moment we decide to listen to a speaker, or even music, or whatever, we engage ourselves. We mobilize our body and shift our nervous system to an active body-mind dynamic. The ear has a tremendous influence over the nervous system. In fact, it is the first sensory organ to become operational. It appears the first days after conception, and by the 5th month of gestation, the inner ear is a fully grown organ, ready to store information. This explains why babies can hear while still inside the womb. The outer ear is composed of the auricle, the outer auditory canal, the tympanic membrane or eardrum. The middle ear is composed of the hammer, anvil, and stirrup bone. And the inner ear is composed of the vestibular labyrinth, which contains the vestibule and the cochlea. Both the outer ear and the middle ear are in an air environment, whereas the inner ear is in a liquid environment. Sound waves travel and reach the external ear at a tympanous membrane or eardrum. This transparent gel-like membrane seals the opening between the middle ear and the external ear. It is here where the transformation of sound from ear to bone takes place. The sound wave vibrations not only stimulate the eardrum, causing the diminutive bone chain into aerobics, but they also reverberate through the dense bone structure. This diminutive bone chain consists of hammer, anvil, and stirrup. The muscle of the stirrup is an extensor muscle. It belongs to the same chain of extensor muscles in our body that permit us to keep upright. On the contrary, the muscle of the hammer is a flexor muscle. It belongs to the same chain of flexor muscles in our body that permit us to flex. Once this diminutive bone chain